Hi, I'm Luke.
Hi, I'm Al. This is Funny in the Money podcast. We're following the stories of people who've taken the jump into the life that they want to live and taking inspiration and doing the same for ourselves.
It does turn into therapy, but bear with.
Should we get into it?
Let's go. We always let you introduce yourself with the classic football chant of "Who are you?" But yeah, looking forward to this. So,
Okay.
who are you?
Okay, so my name's David Powell.
Powell? Oh, fucking hell. He's another Powell.
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
I'm
Oh
a
yeah,
Powell.
Elliot Powell.
Yeah,
Oh, is
fucking
it?
hell. Straight
Oh.
in there. Yes, boy. You've got Welsh in
I
you.
am Welsh.
Yes!
Proper proud.
Best guess
There we
so
go. Proud
far.
Welshman.
I'm already 10 seconds in. I'm loving this.
Yeah, born and raised in North Wales.
Okay, nice. Okay, that's where we split off then because I'm South Walian.
It's all over.
It's
That
over.
took another 5
That's
seconds.
all right.
No, it's all good. So yeah, I'm David Powell, Welsh, and I own 304 Clothing, which is a British-based streetwear brand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm repping.
He is
And you're
repping.
repping as
I'm
well.
repping as well.
Have you ever come across Dave's brand, 304?
I've not, no. So are we recording at this point?
Yeah, it's been
Okay,
recorded.
cool.
Yeah.
All right, brilliant. No,
I'm
I
okay with
haven't.
that as well. 'Cause
I-
it means there's more people to reach.
I haven't, no.
Yeah.
How long have you been going?
10 years.
Okay, shit.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's
Long time.
grafted, man.
Yeah,
Oh, you just had the anniversary, didn't you?
my 10th birthday last month. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's been a long time. Long time.
And how long have you been full time doing that?
No, so I went full time about 3 years in. Then I went back into work for about 8 to 12 months
Yeah.
just to keep some money coming in, and then I went full time again after that. Full time.
Ah, I always thought you were full time from the start, from the
Oh,
get go.
no,
I didn't
no.
realise you'd done other full time jobs.
Yeah.
So what were your other jobs?
So I went straight into art. Well, it was space designer, so it was like interior design. I studied architecture at uni.
Right.
So I did that for 3 years. While I started 304 at the same time, right at the beginning. So I was doing that on the side, and then 3 years in, just decided to give 304 a full bash. It was sort of like a case of, was it a passion project or was it a business? And over the 3 years, it started to become a business and a brand. So we were like, well, we've got to give it a go. Really, I was only
Yeah.
like early 20s. So
Yeah.
Wait, isn't architecture like 7 years?
yeah. So I didn't do the full course. I did my BA, so I did 3 years. Then you go and do a year in industry,
Yeah.
and then I just never went back. So then you would do 2 years as a master's,
Yeah.
and then 1 year as a, I can't remember what it's called.
That's a hell of a stint
It's
for
a
uni
massive.
degree,
It's a
innit?
massive stint for it. Were you
Did
always?
you complete the whole 7 years?
No, just so I got
No.
my
Are you
BA.
not listening?
Sorry.
Yeah. I did my first 3 years, got my degree. Then you meant to go and do a year
Oh,
in
so-
industry
yeah.
to then get back on to do a master's. I did the year, but my year rolled into 2 because I got seconded to Man City, which they're talking about before this.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not going back to uni now. 'Cause-
Got you.
So what were you
I
doing at
understand.
Man City? Sorry.
So the company I worked for was based in Altrincham in Manchester,
Yeah.
and they were helping to redesign elements of the stadium.
Okay. Yeah.
So I was helping to design some of like the new fancier bars in the City Stadium.
Okay. Nice.
And as a City fan, like, you could argue that's a dream job. You did a degree in architecture.
Yeah,
Man City, working on a new stadium. Dream job.
yeah.
Were you?
But it weren't.
No, on paper it was a dream job, but
Yeah.
I think that's the same with everything, mate. On
Yeah.
paper, it sounds amazing. Then you actually get into it, and you're like, "What the fuck have I done?"
yeah.
What? Sorry. What was the? Were you always like interested in architecture? Was that something that you were always into, or were you kind of like, well, it's the one thing that kind of like grasps me a little bit, so I'm gonna like go along,
Yeah,
and it's not a bad life to fall back on. Do you know what I
No.
mean? It's not
Yeah,
a bad.
that's
It's not a bad option to
Yeah.
have. But then you found something else on the other side that you were like, right, actually.
I did a foundation degree in design after school because I didn't know what I wanted to do at university. So you sort of did like live drawing, photography, product design, and then it turned out that I was probably stronger at the product design area.
Yeah.
And my tutor was like, you could go into architecture. It's obviously a good degree to have. It's
Yeah.
something you could
Yeah.
always have. It's a good
Yeah.
Job.
Yeah.
job route to go down, and I just thought there'd be good money in it, security. And I remember my first ever lecture. The tutor was like, "If you're in this for money, you're in the wrong place."
Oh, really?
I thought there was
Yeah.
loads of dosh in
Well,
it.
this is what most people
I
think. There
thought that as
obviously
well.
is when you work for a nice company or you start getting a little bit higher, but
Did many people walk out at that point?
Yeah, I wanted to. Yeah, we just moved to Liverpool from Birmingham, so it's a long walk. But I thought it would be good. I thought it'd be interesting, but it turns out I could be completely wrong here for other people's experiences. But you do a lot of the dog work as a young architect,
I can imagine. Yeah,
you're doing the non-exciting stuff. So I remember like doing things that stuck out in my head was like about 2 weeks just doing door schedules. So you're just drawing every door in a building, measuring them, specifying them. I mean, that gets boring. I like drawing doors.
Sounds wooden.
Yeah.
Wee. Comedy's going on.
That's in media, because I did media at Liverpool as well. Everyone went to do the runner job, which is like basically the dog's body in a crew. You make people tease, you kind of like open doors for people, and you shuffle the cast around and stuff. Yeah. And I always remember thinking at uni, like, I know I'm at the bottom, but I don't want to do that. And then ended up going on a little different reroute.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you kind of value yourself differently, like it's not really.
Well, you always think like on the other side of when you go into starting your own brand and stuff like that, you effectively still doing almost like an apprenticeship, but it's something that you probably care about a little bit more.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel so much.
Doesn't feel like work.
It doesn't feel so much. Yeah, I don't know. It's like a mindset, isn't it? It's not like, oh, how long is it going to take till I get to the top? It's more so like, I can get like, this is interesting. I'm going to enjoy. You
more love the journey, don't you?
Yeah. And like the small wins along the way, as opposed to, I don't know. I definitely felt it if I've done jobs or anything like that. You just like, when does this get easier?
Yeah.
And like, when do I get to the top? And like, when do I? And then I can start living my life, as opposed to just rolling through the processes that go through it.
I remember seeing like the bosses above me, like a couple of steps above, and thinking, I don't really want your job.
Yeah. And that's always a tell, isn't it?
That's a massive tell when you think, well, if I'm striving to get promoted, like you said, to then get to a point of starting to enjoy life, if I'm looking at their job and thinking, I don't want it, what are you actually doing anyway? Like, what's the point of carrying on?
Yeah. So, what was your parents' reaction to dropping out? Well, not dropping out. Doesn't sound like you dropped out, but like not going down the architecture route.
Supportive, to be honest with you.
Oh, fair.
Yeah. No, they're both like, if you've got to do what you want to do. Like, obviously, if you see your child have a passion in something, which I must have displayed a lot more passion to the 3 or 4 brand just through like talking about working on it at like 3-4 in the morning, being like, this is what I didn't have that attitude in university, and I certainly didn't have it in work either. Like, I was like 19, 20 working, like rolling up on a Monday hungover and stuff. I didn't quite have what you'd imagine someone who really wants to push the career on. Whereas with 3 or 4, I was working every hour I could. Yeah. Thinking this could be something without really understanding it. And then I do remember speaking to my dad specifically after I came back from, my business partner is a doctor essentially, so he was in America for 3 months.
Oh wow.
And we used to go over and see him as part of our like summer holiday, all expenses paid. So we'd go over there. And I came back from it doing like 3 weeks on Route 66 and speaking to my dad being like, I don't really want to go back to work. And he was like, well, was it just because you're on the back end of a 3-week holiday in America? And I was like, well, no, because when we were talking to all these people on the trip about the brand, everyone was buzzing about it. Yeah. Like that sort of hit of adrenaline of talking about something and people having interest in it. When I talk about architecture, everyone's like,
This is no, I get it. Right, this is going to be. I don't know if it's the right bit of wisdom to kind of say, but so I was working in a job and I went out to America and we were doing like a road trip around the West Coast or whatever. But when you go on those trips, like you're able to like separate yourself from like your roles at home and like your jobs, and you kind of look at things and like you almost like take a step back and you're like authentic as opposed to what you're supposed to be or anything. But I started having like these epiphanies on this road trip. However, like what we were actually doing was just like, it wasn't as if it was like cool, mellow, calm like things. It was just like along the way, like we'd be pieces of shit in Vegas or whatever it was, and I'd be observing it and looking around. So like I remember being at we were in San Francisco, and one of the companies I used to work for, I remember seeing like one of the bottles like on the side. And I saw it, and I just got like massive shudders of like anxiety, and I was just like, "What?" I just like wanted to delete it. I was like, "How the hell is this here?" And I was just like, I could feel myself like cringing up inside. Right. And then we were at like a Vegas pool party, I remember being at a Vegas pool party, and which is, you know,
pinnacle of life, isn't it?
I mean, it's a bit seedy. Nonetheless, I was in the water, throwing the water around everybody. Everyone else was looking
with the ball.
Yeah, everyone else was
Bit of
looking
cash.
classy, and I'm like flying off Four Locos. Yeah, I think we were watching like Calvin Harris. This is going to be the most basic bitch thing, but we're watching Calvin Harris. It was insane, and he like walked down, and obviously he's doing what he loves, right? And he's obviously so good at it. And he just walks down and was just like nonchalantly playing to all these people who've paid like $100 or whatever to get in. Well, not the girls because they get in for free, and the boys have to bloody pay. You know, there's that feminism.
Not bitter.
But no, not bitter. But then I was just watching him, and I was literally like, he's living his life, what he wants to do with what he loves and stuff. And then on all the tables around, there were all these like older blokes that were all sat on the cabana or whatever they are, the cabanas and the villas, who've obviously paid like thousands just to be near him and just to be near like the stage, and they looked fucking miserable. And like all the girls are like going over to them, beautiful girls. Honestly, I'd pay thousands if I had it. Do you know what I mean? Like I'd lost it all in the casino, but these like go, and they were just being like drenched of their money. And they were like sat there, and I was like, what do I want to be? Do I want to be the guy, even if it's not that level, but who's just doing what he loves and wants to crack on and is enjoying it, or do I want to be the guy that's going to be the outside consumer that is just constantly getting things taken off him and hating my job? But it was, and I was sat there. It was a really poignant moment while my Ray-Bans were like halfway down my face, water's flying everywhere. I was scaring off every girl in the pool.
Everything
like,
just came in slow mo, didn't it?
Yeah. And I was like, what am I doing? And then I didn't think about it for the rest of the holiday because I lost a lot of money. But that was the one thing that I took away from it. So I think that was a long way of saying that I think we might have had relatively the same experience. I could have just said, I think I could have just said, I had an experience like that, mate. But instead,
what year did you go? Was it the same
I think
year?
I was 2014, 15. 2015.
I went.
And then went again 2017.
6 years ago and 8 years ago, I think I went. So when was that?
Definitely the same time. We must have crossed over. We must have been at the same pool party, man.
Yeah.
Boys.
I was just walking around the pool like my mate's a United fan, and that chant, "Here's to you, Neville, Neville, the boys who won the treble," and you know. So everyone's like loving whatever Calvin's playing. And I'm just that little scrat in the pool, just throwing
Football
drinks.
chants.
Yeah, football chants. No one liked me, but 20 times, when you know. But the Brits
I
on
have
tour.
not been Vegas before, but I kind of.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Did you lose your marbles there?
It was a very strange place, yeah, very strange.
4 days? That's what you can do, isn't it? It's like,
We did 4 days, and we all fell out with each other. Like,
yeah, I think we did three days. It was my business partner's 30th birthday the one time, so that was pretty big. We did like the Calvin Harris pool party.
Yeah.
And then we went back a couple of years later again because he'd actually met an American girl.
Of course.
And my other housemate at the time that was in 304, he'd also met a girl that was his girlfriend.
Of course.
So we had to go back and see him.
How did it start? Did he ask them where the toilets were?
No, they met in LA actually.
Okay.
And then followed them up to Vegas.
Flew them out.
Yeah.
You just said was involved. So how many are involved?
There's myself and Sean that started the brand 10 years ago with another lad called Joe who lived with us in apartment 304.
That's how it started.
Yeah.
I was going to get to that question.
And then he obviously met his partner in America on one of our trips, and then his sort of like desire was to move to America. So he then was like, I need to put all my eggs in that basket of getting the right degree and stuff to move to America. So he stepped down 6 years ago.
And
So
did
it's been
that?
a long time.
I'm interested in this because like company structure, like it's not just a case of I quit my job. It's out. Did he have like a share?
Yeah, it was.
Equal
We all
shares
made
and
it
stuff.
together. The three of us. So it was like 33% each in the brand and stuff. And then he went to America to go see her for a couple of weeks, and he came back and was just like, "Look, my heart's not in it, so you boys can have my share essentially."
Right.
But it was getting to the point of we were living together, and we'd all made the decision to move out.
Yeah.
I was earning £800 a month or £400 a month, whatever it was, basic money. I had to move back in with my dad to try and carry on 304. Sean needed to move back home because he was essentially funding the business through his job being a doctor. He was on a bit better money.
Yeah.
And Joe was like, I need to move home to get my degree that I could could then potentially get a job in America.
Yeah, yeah.
So we were all breaking up anyway. The band was breaking up a little bit. So
Cratchy.
Yeah. And it was just a natural time.
Did it have any value at the time that he left, where he got money out of it?
He actually gave it us for free. To be fair
did
to
he?
him, yeah.
Fuming.
Wow.
Fuming later down the line when it pops.
Yeah, but at the time it probably wasn't really worth much in terms of the revenue or profit or anything. But I mean, like, probably, I don't know whether he regrets it. I've never asked him.
Yeah. So
do you regret it, mate? Do you regret it now? If you're listening, do you regret it? If you're watching, do you regret it?
Leave our one comment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go for it, bro. And then I'm interested because I like the with the old clothing and branding and stuff like that. Is there was there like a brand that you liked and you were like, oh, that's cool, I think I can set up and do like my own thing? Or is there a brand outside 3 or 4 that you're like really bought into?
Yeah, they're probably both scenarios. So like when we first started 3 or 4, there was a couple of brands that were sort of starting. I mean, I don't know if you boys were the same, but you could only really buy clothes from Topman, Burton's, ASOS,
River Island.
Burton's.
There wasn't
coming dressed like your dad.
But there wasn't really any like brands, so to speak. I don't know if it was the same for you guys.
Yeah.
And then there was a few starting to pop up. There was a brand called Just Hype.
Yeah.
You know them there in like Topshop and Topman. They were before they went bump. They were just starting. Misguided was just starting.
Favourites.
Obviously they're female only.
It's the Bobby.
Yeah,
that's my favourite.
They're in Manchester. There's another brand called Monroe, which I really liked. It's gone now. It's finished. Abandoned Ship was like another like bedroom kind of brand that was starting. That just finished last week, I think. Actually, they
oh wow.
So as well.
Forgive me. How old are you?
33.
33. So remember, like I'm always remember. Yeah, exactly that. There was like your main staple ones, and then it started to move into like smaller apparel like shops and stuff like that, and you could get I remember when like Religion was smaller over here, and I'd be like plucking out like a Religion or Villain. Remember Villain were remember and I'd go and pluck out, and honestly, if I put the gear on now, it was horrendous.
It's that really paper thin t-shirt, isn't it? That just gets holes really, really quickly. Remember the one with the like glitter type thing with the tongue, the Rolling Stone?
They
were so. Was it that Religion as well?
It might have been.
It was like that type of design though. Where it's just like
Ed Hardy.
Oh, I used to have a lot.
But they were massive in America. They were huge in America, weren't they? Like, I remember going out and there's just massive stores of it, and I'm like, who's wearing this gear? You
remember that shop in the road? Is it Bond Street in Liverpool? Yeah. And there was a shop as you're going down on the right hand side.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was called, but it had all like the coolest brands in.
Yeah. I remember the one. Yeah. We tried to get in there a few times.
Is it Drone?
Might have been Drone actually. Yeah, there was a couple. I think there was at least 1 or 2 in Liverpool.
Yeah, and it had and there was size as well. That was the first time I'd ever come across size, the shop. But they always had like your Nike, Adidas, that cool stuff, and then they'd have like a bunch of other random brands.
Yeah.
But I remember, because I've not seen Dave in ages, I was in TK Maxx and I was just scrolling through the
XXXXL, XXXXL.
Mate, I love TK Maxx. I could be there all day, and then your brand popped up in there. I was
oh, nice.
Check that out. Yeah.
I mean, in terms of like the brands and stuff, we were actually we've been going 10 years, so we are pre-Instagram, pre-Facebook, so we were one of the early ones, but those were the kind of brands that I liked. And then now, there's obviously massive brands. I really like Kith, Represent, Gymshark, are all really strong brands.
Yeah, Gymshark's insane. But did you, so you'd have like started it. So how did you start? Did you start with, because was that all website based then to start, or did you have bricks and mortar, or did you go and sell into stores yourself?
With all of those again.
Yeah.
So we started on Facebook Shop, it was called.
Yeah.
So then we built a website after that, which was on Wix, I think it was, or something like that. And we waited 2 weeks for our first sale. I think once we built the website, so we sat there waiting for it, and it took about 2 weeks for one sale, and it turned out to be a friend. And still celebrating stuff, but
takes you for a discount code.
Yeah.
I still do that.
Mate, you're welcome to. But that just started Facebook, then onto a website, and then we started to. I think we did like a couple of events in Manchester, like trainer events. And Manchester Fashion Week we did, clothes show, and then people started meeting us. And a couple of agents, like you have agents in fashion where they take your brand and your line, they try and sell it into stores for you.
Yeah.
They take a commission. So we started getting approached by a few of those. So we started selling into like specifically Holland, we did quite well. Then the
Yeah.
Middle East, and then England, we sort of did okay with ASOS, Footasylum, TK,
Yeah.
a few stockists like that. But they come in, then they go, and then they come back again. So like we're not in TK at the moment, but
Right. Okay.
not to say in 6 months we'll be back in, or ASOS or whatever. Like
Yeah, because you had a stint in Love Island, didn't you, as well? Not you personally,
I was
but
gonna
your
say.
brand. Your-
I was gonna say, yeah, I thought I'd seen you, basically.
yeah, no. Not
Casa
me.
Amor, you know. Those guys trying to.
I haven't got that
bloody-
wrong, have I? Though.
No. We a couple of years ago. Did you watch Love Island?
I like
the first one I watched, but yeah, I've watched.
I begrudgingly watch it.
Yeah.
Like, I'd sit there with my girlfriend, and
We're all
I'd
trying
like,
to not admit it, but
Yeah.
no, I'd not, and I'd like watch it and just be like, what is this? Like,
Yeah.
why is it going on? But then also tinged with a bit of bitterness that there's some guy with absolute shriveled six pack, like just like shredded, and I'm sat there with a little fucking baby bump on the front, eating chocolate, being like, babe, he's not fit, is he?
No.
He's not fit. And she's like, no, definitely not, no. And then you get up to bed later, you're like, do you fancy it? She's like, definitely not.
But you did make on it, didn't you?
Yeah. No. So a few years ago, I think maybe like 3 years ago, a couple of like some again like you book models for shoots through model agencies, and one of them was like quite closely linked to the Love Island like people that cast the character,
right, okay.
the members, whatever.
Yeah.
And they said if you send us a load of clothes, we'll present it to the people that are going in, and they can just take it in with them.
Yeah.
So we sent them a load of clothes, and then it turned out that season that you weren't actually allowed to wear branded clothes because, I don't know, misguided or whoever had signed a deal last minute when their first ever sponsorship, but because 3 or 4 is just a number,
Yeah.
the producers didn't know it was a brand, and because maybe we were quite small as well, they just thought it was just a number on a t-shirt.
So did they take you off
Legend.
that same
No,
series?
they let us. We were the only brand that got in.
Oh.
So like, throughout the whole series, 3 or 4s kept popping up left, right, and centre, and no other brand was. Whereas the years before, there was brands everywhere.
Yeah, because now I notice, like, and I really don't like the brand that is in there at the moment, because I don't know why, my brain always goes to what brand it is. I can't remember, is it like Couture or something?
I thought it was eBay. Like, they got the eBay reclaimed,
eBay
didn't
this
they?
season, yeah.
Oh, what, just gone?
Yeah, it was all like...
But it was all one brand though, wasn't it?
There was?
No. So this year was sponsored by eBay, so it was all pre-loved. Everything
Yeah.
was second hand. We were actually on it again this year through one of the lads bought our shorts, I think, off eBay.
Oh, okay.
Which is good. But then the brand you're on about, Couture Club, they were on it quite a bit.
Yeah.
Before.
Yeah, there's a brand that I personally didn't like. It just kept on. I was like, I really don't like the hats. They're like
The big R on it
sliders.
as well.
Yeah, that was the one.
Yeah, I'll rewind. I think it's owned by JD. I think it's a
Yeah.
nice brand.
That was the one I really just didn't like.
Yeah.
What? So did you speak directly to like the casting person or whoever was doing the casting then?
I didn't personally, but one of my best friend who works at 3 or 4 as well, he did, and he's got a relationship with the agencies, and he sent it all down to him. And then after the show, obviously the ones that were wearing it, and we've been tagging them throughout the show.
Yeah.
They were like contacting us, being like, "Can you send us some more stuff?"
Oh wow.
So then we just started gifting it to them.
On that sort of stuff, like, what's the impact of having people like that? Like, how does it translate to like yourselves at the brand?
Revenue and stuff,
Does it go big? Does it just make
It was huge. Like 4 years ago, we had Adam Collard. He was on this series again, so he wore it, I think, about 3 times on a Sunday night in a row, and every time he wore, sold out. So
That's mad, isn't it?
We were like, "This is unbelievable!" Like
that impact is crazy.
You can't put a price on. Obviously, free on TV as well. There's no clickable links or anything, so people are actually searching it.
Yeah, it's millions of people,
mate.
isn't it, seeing it, and like to get that exposure costs so much money.
Yeah. No, it's brilliant. But then, like, obviously, you do like brands do like influencer gifting that we've done over the years. Like brands still do it now, and it works really well. But for us, not so much. For that sort of the market we're in, it's more about your average Joe on the street wearing it for us these days. That's sort of where we pitch. But
so wait, he wore the same T-shirt 3 Sundays in a row.
No,
it was pretty much the same T-shirt, different colour.
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
if I wore the
You
same
watched it?
T-shirt three weekends in a row, I get absolutely hammered by the boys.
and you're on TV every
Fucking
day.
tramp, yeah. So, do you ever take that T-shirt off?
That's class.
Yeah, that's good.
That like we've had moments with other guests as well where they work in different things, and we're just like, wow. Because I always watch it with my missus, and we always have the question about what do they do? Just walk up to a rail and pick what they want to have for the whole show or on a certain day.
So do they not Yeah, look, we're drilling down into this. Do they not take their own suitcases in?
I think they do.
For basics,
I
maybe.
think it's changed a little bit over the years. I've got a friend that went in there as well a couple of years ago. You take clothes in, but then like when they've been sponsored by brands like Misguided or eBay now, they bring in sacks of clothes every 2-3 days, and they literally just go through whatever they want.
Yeah,
it's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, I'm having deep thought here anyway, separately, but the whole premise is that they go in and find love.
But they come out with massive deals.
It's just like a massive commercial like thing where I don't know, they're exploiting our love. Like I'd go in and try and find my Juliet or whatever.
Well, randomly, I did see. I don't know if you watched the last one, Dami and India. India met Dami's mum. I saw on social media. It came up on my feed for the first time yesterday. I thought, fair play. They're still cracking on.
It's like an NFL draft now. I think they all go in there, and at the end of it, it's like who's signing who. That's exactly what it is.
20-yard dash.
Because everyone was celebrating. I can't remember what her name was. It Tasha. She
got eBay. And
yeah,
she got eBay. Got Misguided. Someone got Pretty Little Things.
Oh, it's the Nutter woman.
Yeah,
I can't remember what her name is.
I'd end up with like
a Turkish woman,
Super Dry or something.
Classic brand.
Super Dry Kids.
So I don't know if you know, Dave's got married last year as well.
Congratulations, mate.
And he's got a baby on the way.
Oh, fucking hell.
We had the last episode and we didn't talk about my baby at all, which is fine. Yeah. But something I did try and I thought would be good to talk to you about is in August, I tried a 4-day working week each week.
Yeah.
Obviously, everyone keeps talking about 4-day working weeks at the moment. I did it because we didn't get out of hospital like straight away. So the whole 2 weeks of having time with your baby didn't really happen. So we had... I did a day a week and I thought, yeah, it sounds like it's my own business, do what I want to do. And it was always promoted as like, you're doing your own thing to have freedom, to do what you want when you want, family time. Week 1, I did it. I was like, okay, cool, that was really nice. Week 2, and then like it progressively just got harder and harder because I'd take the day off and then people would still like try and come at you with things. And then the other days you'd be working at like 6 or 7 a.m. to try and fit some work in to catch up before you have the day off, and then the other nights you're working till late. So I realised after that, I was like, 4-day working weeks are great if you work for a company, but if it's for yourself, for me, I was like, it's not possible. If I want to take a Thursday afternoon off because there's not much going on, I'll do it. But rather than say I'm going to have 4 days a week to work, it just wouldn't work.
Do you think that's viable? Do you think it's not viable?
Well,
do you have days off?
I have days off, yeah. I have a lot more off now that I'm married and live with my wife than I did when I was like in that hustle mentality. When I lived in London, I would work 7 days a week. But if I was hungover till 11 in the morning, I would start work at 11. I had no set hours or days. If it was Sunday, I had nothing to do. I'd be working. So like now I've become better at trying to say, right, okay, I do work Monday to Friday and I leave my work laptop at work so I can't physically do anything when I get home. But like what you said there about like one of the reasons why I started a business was to have freedom. To then restrict myself and say I'm only working 4 days, sort of would feel restrictive and be like, I've got to take that day off. I'd rather do what you said. Like, look, next week me and the wife have said there's a theatre show on in London. Yeah, let's just go. Yeah. If I need to work a little bit longer the day before I do it, I'd rather
just call it when you want.
Yeah. I don't want to say I've got 4 days every week. I work 5 days, and if I want to take a day off, I will make it work rather than like feeling the pressure of you said there. I don't think.
Have you have you like enjoyed all of it? Have you had any like have you had any days where you got like close to going off at this? I'm going back to architecture, man.
Throughout the business.
They need some new bars in Man City Stadium. Has there been days where you just like, fuck this, man?
Oh, so many days.
Yeah,
so many.
Big setbacks.
Huge setbacks. Like so many. Just business in general is very, very hard. Even like the guys that are killing it would say it's the hardest job you're ever going to have owning your own business. Yeah. But then when there's specific milestones that set you back, that's quite difficult to get through. Then it happens all the time. Still happens now. Like
what setbacks are these? Any big ones?
For us in general, the biggest one was when our warehouse burnt down.
Okay, that's huge. Yeah, that's pretty big, mate.
Yeah, I brush over it a little bit now because it's 5 years ago in November. So like we're way past it now, and it has turned out.
Was it deliberate? It wasn't like a.
No. So I did another podcast with a lad and spoke about this story, and every comment was like insurance job. Yeah, you planned it because I sounded quite positive about it, but
We don't get comments, so don't you won't worry about that here.
I was just trying to reframe it as like it actually turned out to be a positive.
Yeah.
Because our mindset said like, let's not let this kill the business of 6 years that we've spent so long building.
Yeah.
That it could have been the end of it like that.
Yeah.
If we let it, but we were like, no, let's try and give this one final push, and use it as a reset type thing. So that was very hard.
And so a lot of stock was lost.
All of our stock got
all
burnt,
of it.
Yeah. So
fucking hell.
As an e-commerce business like that sells product that had no product to sell, that sold product that was now burnt down.
Yeah.
What do you actually do?
How long did it take you to get like replenished?
We actually had stock coming in because it was between seasons, so we had stock coming within 4 weeks, which is good timing, I suppose.
Yeah.
And then also we went from being like a forward order brand to print on demand, so we could actually we started through like our network over the years and met someone that could actually. Everyone knows like you buy Gildan t-shirts or just an off-the-shelf blank t-shirt.
Yeah.
You can print on it on demand and ship it out. So we actually started doing that within 2 days, just to start selling stuff on the website to get money coming in, because we saw no revenue coming in. We wouldn't have been able to pay for the stock we'd lost.
Yeah.
Bridge to get the insurance payout, which took like 2 years or a year and a half.
Wow. That would proper make you go.
But
fuck this.
Yeah, you also get into. I guess also then you get into. You do get into kickstart like survival mode, don't you?
Survival mode. Completely.
But who did someone that there was a quote and it was like whether it's going to take whether you've got a deadline in 4 weeks or 4 days, you'll still get it complete, because like when you've got no other option to get it complete, like you always kick in and you always like crack on. I'm the same.
Well, fair fucks for coming over it and like still assume growing and I guess is that your business model change that you did the print on demand?
We were doing like a lot of stuff to try and be in shops at that point, so we were designing and buying stock so far in advance that we were stockpiling stock, which was becoming a bit of an issue in itself because cash flow gets
tied up.
So like now our business is completely print on demand. We buy blank stock, we produce it in bulk, massive load of blank white t-shirts, and we print them in house at our own studio. So we actually only ever print what we've sold. So it's really difficult to like, obviously we sell something at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, we need to get the team to be printing it in out the door by like 3:30, which is tough in terms of like operations, but cash flow wise it's brilliant because we don't get left with dead stock. Which is
I've got so many questions off of that.
What?
I'll let you go there. You got a question?
I just want to know who started the fucking fire. It's fucking 403 next door. You jumbled around our our numbers.
How many people do you have working for you
now?
Or at 3 or 4?
We got 9 now. 9, yeah. It's pretty tight.
And they're spread across like operations and people in the warehouse and
like 4 in
marketing.
The warehouse. Sean lives in Manchester. He's still obviously part owner. Then there's finance, web, customer service, and myself. Yeah,
pretty strong team.
Yeah.
Strong number. You made it into Asda as well, didn't you?
Yeah.
What's that situation?
So we went into...
Or George, I should say.
George, yeah. So Asda, through COVID, obviously all the high street closed.
Yeah.
So Asda were just being either bought or sold by Walmart.
Yeah.
And they took a business decision to try and bring the brands in that were currently in like Topshop or Topman and a few other businesses that have gone Debenhams and like sort of try and take their customers from the high street that people couldn't even go to the high street because of COVID, but you could go to a
good
that's
idea.
clever.
So their business strategy was like, well, people go buy food if they can't buy clothes on the high street. If COVID was to happen again, or even just the Topshop and Topman Debenhams have gone, they need to be serviced somewhere. So they approached us along with a couple of other brands and said, would you go in, because we do men's, women's and juniors.
So they approached you?
Yeah.
What a compliment.
That's insane as well, though, to get them
to
approach, because for years you like knock at the door, literally being like, look, can we work with you, and they're not. It's so hard to get people's time or anything like that. So for them to come, you're like literally like, oh,
that's class.
I'm in the money.
It's good. And we went in January this year, I think, first one. Turns out since then they've completely changed their direction again, because it didn't actually work for like in terms of the business proposition.
Right.
Customers that were going into Asda weren't buying clothes that were 5x more expensive than George. But they tried it. Obviously, they tried it with 3 or 4. We actually sold okay in there, in consideration of one of the brands and stuff. It wasn't really a reflection on us, but just their customers weren't ready. The feedback they kept getting was like...
So you're not in there anymore?
We're still in there at the moment, but there's no more like going in, essentially. So
was it only certain Asdas?
Yeah.
So guilty. As soon as I saw the news, I left it maybe like 2 days. But I went into the one in Sydenham, just ran from here, and I think I was going to get Kaylin some stuff.
Yeah.
And then I asked the lady, and she's like, I said, have you got any 3 or 4? I've heard it's in Asda. And she went out the back and checked. She's like, it's not here. It must be like the bigger stores.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, good.
They were just starting on like the mega stores that are like the real big ones.
Yeah.
And then they were looking to like roll it down to the smaller ones, but it didn't happen.
That's a really good idea though, from what they said initially. Obviously, it's changed, but like, to have kind of decent brands in a supermarket for convenience.
Yeah.
It's really, really good.
It could have worked really. Like they've got like certain Asda stores now. Like have got hairdressers in there. They've got bars in there and stuff. So they wanted it to.
Primark's got hairdressers.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was in Primark yesterday. It's got absolutely.
Primark, man.
Yeah.
But they're like trying to do a lot of it is they're trying to do like the one stop. You know, like you go in and you can spend it. You know, like in America when you're out there, you go in, you're like, I could just stay here all day.
Yeah.
Because they've just got so much in it.
Yeah.
They're obviously trying to relook at doing stuff like that. So
realistically, it's all the blokes just sat at the coffee shop, isn't it? And especially in Primark,
just going, what's she bloody
whirlwind
buying now? What's she got now? My mum's fucking mental for it.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, mate, like the stuff that like comes back. Sorry, this is a tangent, mate. Yeah. My mum just buys stuff like constantly, and like, have you ever seen what is it? You know, what's the people that the minimalists?
Oh no, I've heard about that documentary.
Mate,
it's meant to be class.
Watch the minimalists. It's like unbelievable.
It's
I love it. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
But like everything that you've got is supposed to have like an intention. Like, don't buy like things that you're just gonna buy or whatever like it. And basically, like every middle-aged woman is almost like an addict that will just shop for anything. And my mum's that. Like the other day, she was she always like excuses herself with like, you just never know when you're gonna need it. You just never know when you're gonna need it. And I was at a wedding. I was in God's house. And my phone was like blowing up, like while I was in there. I was in God's house, the wedding, and my phone was blowing up, and I was like, "Shit, there's got to be an emergency. Yeah. There's got to be an emergency." So anyway, I got outside the front, and it was my mum had texted me, and she's like, "Look what I found on Facebook Marketplace," because I've moved into a new house, and I was like, "It was a turkey dish." I was like, "My mum." She dropped me off at the wedding as well. She like knew I was in there, but couldn't control her like purchasing habits.
Realistically, when are you cooking a turkey?
Oh, mate, I'm vegetarian, man. Never know you're gonna need it. I'm not gonna need it, mum.
Yeah, that's about it.
But yeah, so like you can imagine, mate, if she'd have walked in there, it was an absolute trap. Especially if she's got the ability to go shopping as well. She did courgettes and fucking t-shirts like left, right, and centre.
In the same bag.
Yeah.
There was the other story. I've obviously got my notes here, but the other story I wanted to get your opinion on was like what happened in COVID. Yeah. But there was hoodies that Dave made or 304 made that was like I thought was class. I bought 3 of them for me, Kaylin and Kasha, my wife.
Oh, a little team.
Yeah.
A little 304 team walking down the street.
That's the goal for us.
But it was, and it was like supporting the NHS. But it was a really like nice, it's like Banksy art almost, wasn't it, on the back? And there was a 304 message along with like the support for the NHS. But I imagine that must have done so well.
Yeah, that was pretty mad. So obviously the whole COVID thing happened and all our staff work in that one studio, like I said. So we were like, right, well, if we're not all allowed to go to the studio, we'll start trying to work from home, but someone still needs to be there to print the orders and get them picked up and stuff. So we did, I think, 2 days or 3 days working from home, and we were just working on Slack, chatting and stuff, being like, the NHS need to do something for it, like because like, it was at the time where I think the clap thing came out as well, so like, we need to do something.
Not chlamydia.
And we whipped up a hoodie again because we're print on demand now and we can do things. We don't need to design that, put it into production, wait 6 months for it to come on the boat and stuff. We just launched it, didn't really think much of it, and said obviously it's all been donated to NHS charities and stuff. And within like 12 hours, 24 hours, BBC had picked it up.
Oh really?
Loads of stuff on the internet, viral sites had picked it up, and we were doing thousands of them. So we were all like wow, we need to get back in the office essentially. And our team went from 4 to 9 pretty sharpish because of that.
Really?
They were all like friends of friends that sort of been let. What happened now? People were getting weren't they?
Yeah.
So we're calling on anyone to come and help us and stuff.
That's class.
I'd have been there.
Yeah, you were looking for a job. I wore that not on purpose when baby went into what's the words I'm looking for? Went into labour. So we went into hospital, and the staff were like, "Turn around." They're like, "Do you work for the NHS?" I was like, "No." They're like, "We love your hoodie."
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
We sent loads to loads of different hospitals as well, because we were getting like certain people were obviously always returning stuff, wrong sizes and stuff. So any that came back, we were shipping it out to the hospitals free of charge, and they were loving it.
So that would have like done really, really well, but money wise, you wouldn't have made much off it.
No, we made nothing off it, but it was good for the brand because we're actually getting, obviously with like e-commerce, acquiring new customers is quite expensive. So not thought out or anything like that, but we were getting new customers because people were buying the NHS hoodie
and XYZ,
either buying something with it or they'd get it. They'd really like the quality, the feel and stuff, and then they'd go, okay, well actually let's look at the brand now through our, like post-purchase emails and stuff like that. They'd come back and buy.
Indirect sales, huh?
Yeah.
So I think this is like a business lesson in like versatility, being agility, pivoting, and just being like agile and like moving through tenacity when obviously when the warehouse burnt down and stuff like that. It's what I mean, it's what you need in abundance, right?
Yeah.
That's one thing I didn't like about architecture, going back to it again, was how slow it was.
Yeah.
So when I was like doing 304, I'd love how quick everything is. Like, we're a brand that's very, very fast. Not everyone is that quick, but I would get bored.
Yeah.
I got bored through architecture. So when we started trying to design things 2 years in advance, by the time the stuff had come,
you need quicker wins.
Yeah.
You need quicker wins.
Doesn't matter how big they are as well. It's just like the constant adrenaline rush of something's happened, let's go, next one.
But that, so we had Ollie on last time and does the TikTok agency stuff, and he, like, I'd definitely kind of resonate with that. Like, if you can find a way, and there's like because it's always like all the parts are already always moving, aren't they? And it's stuff. And I was definitely stood in like the old school like comedy thing where you like constantly just go around to every single place, every single, like 10 people in the audience, just keep doing it and just drag that out for like 15-20 years, and then you might get like a fucking crumb somewhere. And then we were speaking to Ollie the other day, and he was like, look, like, just use this tool. And it was like so apparent, like up at the Fringe, there was a chap that like played a room to one, and he'd been doing it like 15 years. And there was another geezer that was on TikTok who had done TikTok videos for 2 years, had built up such an audience that he sold out every single show while he was there. He's been taken over to America and doing basically like shows over there and stuff like that.
He's built it on TikTok.
So he's just built it on TikTok because he's been able to build it so much quicker. Because he's been able to basically build his own audience. And it's so true as well. Like, there's a lot of like gatekeepers, so you have to like be like plucked by someone who'll put you on their show, and they dictate where you can go, where you can't go, like whether you're good enough, and like who's to say that you are or aren't good enough. So kind of a lot of it is like, well, fuck it, I'll just build my own audience. So like yourself working in like with clothing and branding and stuff like that, like you could be going and approaching all these like fashion houses and being like, look, like, can we put it into your store? And then actually now it's taken like the power back where you just go, fuck it, we'll do a really good e-commerce business then, and we'll do loads of D2C, direct to consumer, that is, in the business. And we'll just do loads of direct to consumer stuff, and we'll build it through like the internet. So I think it's there's definitely like a new age, a new way that like people have gone. Pivoting.
This is probably like, because every conversation we seem to have with people is like, it's mostly like freelancer level or like startup, but this feels more like a proper
what
business.
How long you gone? 10 years?
10 years,
10 long years.
That's also like worth applauding, just like to stick with something for
congrats.
that long is it is really good.
I'd do 2 years and I'd be like, oh, fuck this, mate. I just do that all the time. I like fucking flip all the time.
It's not uncommon though, is it? Like even just any like small project, like consistency with Elliot started doing his TikTok videos as well, and Ollie was like, people want to go viral within the first 2 videos, which is like 0.01%, but the people that are consistent see it, and it's the same with like building a brand, building a business. Asda come knocking on your door, it's like, well, yeah, I've been here for 8 years.
When you take a step back from it, so obviously we've been doing it 10 years now, and we look at like every day's revenue or profits and stuff, and you think, we've gone down a little bit, gone up a little bit. You take a step back and look at the 10-year line, you think, that's why you've done it for the consistency, like you said, the videos.
Do you buy into, like, do you do much of, like the awareness stuff? So I'm really interested in this side of it, like when you're getting people on, but like, there's people out there doing brands and stuff like that and starting businesses, but like, do you do a lot of the, like Ryan Holiday and stuff like that, all of the, like people coaches?
What's the, like, supporting other people who...
Well, just like loads of like how am I trying to say it? Like the self-improvement stuff.
Right.
That to like help the fact that can like how that can help you in business and stuff.
In terms of like the staff internally, or
no, so like for yourself, like your personal, that's what I was basically going for in a lot of words. Like, do you do all of that? Do you are you invested in that self improvement?
I definitely am, like especially over the last like maybe 3 or 4 years, I've had to work really hard on trying to stay mentally strong, because it 3 or 4 gets harder every single year. Albeit we see more success as the business goes on. It gets harder and harder as a business owner, because like those problems that happen might be little ones, but they just can
get out of hand.
They compound, and then you think, you blow things out of proportion and stuff. It's really difficult to try and stay positive all the time. So I have to work quite hard on all that side of things, to be honest with you.
Oh yeah, I had a thing that happened on Friday, which, similar to you, when you take a step back. So like I've said on this, my dream is to always have like a show on TV, or like a something I've created that I hear someone else say, like over there on that table, and I overhear it, and I'm like, fuck yes, I did that. That's my moment. And then I've had an idea for maybe 10 years or so. No, not that long, but about 6 years for a film. Started speaking to another writer about it. He was invested in it. He wanted to work on it. Then he said that there was a producer that was interested to put budget towards it, £250,000. Like, wow, that's like amazing. Yeah. But then it was going to probably conflict what we're doing with Unique Productions and like the way that we're going. Plus, I didn't know anything about these other producers, so there's no written like agreement. So over the weekend, I had to like sit and think: do I say yes to like follow that thing that I think is my dream? Well, it is my dream, but with people I don't know, or do I say no? And do it in a different avenue with people that I trust, where we've got more control and stuff like that.
Yeah. And
it was really, really difficult, because I was like, that thing that I'm trying to get to is like almost there. I can kind of like touch it and can start working on it. Or if I like step back and think in 3 years' time, that might have been the worst decision I've made, because I don't have control over that, and it's just buried somewhere.
What's your decision process to make that decision?
At first, I was thinking about other people more, which like isn't healthy. But then I was almost kind of like, I think we've been taught this, or we spoke about before, is like, what's your worst case scenario? Yeah. And then work from that. Yeah. I've made my decision, but I didn't make it with anyone's like, you should do this, you should do that. In fact, some other people said the other way around. But my decision was to not take the low-hanging fruit, what would appear like the low-hanging fruit, and to take it back to the drawing board. Yeah. And the writers already agreed to do it in the way that we want to do it, so kind of like good things should come from that as well. But it was like I guess when you look at things like, I could do this and I could do it now, and it could be quick money or whatever, however you view it, or it might take 2 years longer, but it will be done in the way that actually matters to you. One of the things I actually was thinking about is like, what's the right thing to do? And I did the thing that was the right thing to do, not the quick bam, I've got it here, like show off about it type thing. I know to take a step back, but that comes with personal growth, because it's not easy to get to that mind state where you're like kind of remain calm, and you don't just do the thing that like your emotions are just saying, you've done it, you've nailed it, you've got what you wanted. It's a funny one, interesting one for us again. I've spoken about it a few times. Is like, you've got that goal of where you wanted your business to go, or your sort of career, because 3 or 4 was a bit of an accident, really, that it was a hobby that we started outside of work, that we never really had a destination or a moonshot goal of what was 3 or 4. It wasn't even a brand, it was just making t-shirts for friends at first, so we never had somewhere to go, which again, like in terms of talking about like mentality and stuff, it's quite
difficult to keep working on a business that you didn't really know where you wanted it to go.
Yeah.
To. You just felt like you were just treading them. Yeah. And then as my desire to work quickly on projects sped up, it was just like we were doing things so quickly over and over again with not really knowing where on earth are we actually going.
You don't know if you're getting closer to whatever it is.
What is it?
Yeah.
And then it's taken a lot of time to realise actually like what we're doing now, being able to come here and do a podcast on a Monday afternoon is essentially what we started the brand for. It's like if we want to go for a beer.
So it's the freedom part. Yeah.
So business can be quite restricted in terms of obviously worrying about money and stuff like that. But on the whole, what we set 304 out to be is what we're doing. It's just all my friends work for 304, so like the staff there are friends.
Yeah,
that's what we wanted.
You celebrate together. Yeah. If you're down in the dumps, you're all down in the dumps with whatever's going on.
Exactly that.
Family type thing.
Yeah.
Deep.
Good.
It's
nice.
Cute.
Yeah.
I like it. I'm jealous, man.
Well, Elliot's world is quite different because I feel like I've got
lonely.
similarities. I've got similarities with you with a brand and a business, and there's different trees that can kind of branches that could come off the tree of the brand. But Elliot is definitely like swimming solo a lot of the time.
Yeah,
you said you had some gig stories.
Oh, mate, like
I've got some questions for you. Your TikTok, how's it going? Because I'm seeing your stuff.
So
you blew up, didn't
really
you?
randomly, like. Really randomly, so we chatted to the guy. So I was like, right, fuck it, I'll just go and do it. I'd been like really like I said, like stuck in that like no, it's a new age, it's shit. And then like sorry TikTok. But then I realised the opportunity that TikTok's got, and it was great. So I was like, I think one of it was like I stood at a gig and like everyone in there was like 35 plus. Because they're the ones that go and buy tickets and they go out, and I was like, where's everybody that's younger? And they're not interacting with. They don't go out and buy a comedy ticket for 15, 20 quid. They just consume normally. So I was like, fuck it, I might as well just give it a go, just basically because everyone just sits like scrolling at night. So just put like a couple of videos up, a couple of weeks apart, and then they just. Yeah, I think they got like fucking like 500,000 views and shit like that off the two vids.
That's what it was, isn't it?
Yeah, wow. So I think it's like 550, and then like 60k like it's just 60k likes. I'm not bragging as if that's like a value thing. So measure me on that value. I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
But it's just like really interesting to see like what kind of things
you've reached 500,000 people.
Yeah.
As opposed to 50 in a
honestly,
in a
like for me, if I do a gig, like one person might follow me.
Yeah.
Like, and that's just out of the building. No, that one person might follow me on Instagram, or whatever it is, build an audience. You could slog, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that because you'll become a master of the craft. But also at the same time, like if you can work smart and like build your own kind of audience like separately, but also keep.
It is working smart, isn't it? That is like work smart, not so hard.
Yeah,
all around the country.
Like you can, because you look at like people who do. Well, I was always doing that, like really like grafting, like manual labour jobs, and it is literally just like someone who's just higher above. All they're doing is just like telling you is finding the ways of working smart on the actual like manual side of stuff.
Yeah.
So if you can do that, but yeah, it's weird, man. Like, obviously, R.I.P. the Queen, you know, hip hip hooray for Charlie Boy. But there was obviously a weird state that was going on over the course of like last week, and I was like hosting a gig on Saturday, and it was quite like a well-to-do area, so everyone liked the Queen, you know.
I suppose it wasn't cancelled like football.
No, so they cancelled it, but they let comedians run rife. And honestly, it's bad because like. You know, comedy's like that first thought that comes to you, the thing that you shouldn't say. Like, you want to do it. Kevin Bridges got, like, burnt because he went out. He did, like, a really good...
he did cancel comedy on Channel 4 and stuff.
So they cancelled a load of stuff.
Not on Comedy Central, and somebody came dressed out as the Queen, and me and Cash were like...
Yeah.
Everything else seemed to get, like, pulled back. But
it's a weird thing. It's a weird thing. No, but that's... Like, you know, when my gran passed away, it was one of the fucking funniest days I've ever had. Like, one of the saddest, but one of the funniest things I've ever seen. So you kind of need... It was. Bless her. But yeah, no. So we were gigging the other night, and I was like, right, I'm hosting. I've got to like address it. I'm going to go out straight away and just say, look, like, we're very privileged to be able to live and do this. And, you know, can we just raise our glass for the Queen and hip hooray for Charlie Boy?
Fair play.
And I was going to do that. And then the promoter that was on came up to me and he's like, oh, we're going to do a minute silence before you go on. And I was like, what? We're gonna do a minute silence. I'm gonna go up and I'm gonna get everyone to do a minute silence. So I'm stood at this fucking comedy gig, like in the green room, and like I've done a minute silence, by the way, everybody. I've done it in my own. I've observed it. I'm not that, but do you know when you're the kid in school when you shouldn't laugh, but you're fucking pissing yourself? Yeah. I'm sat in this green room. You're already nervous and anxious, and then there's just a minute. Can everyone just bow their heads? And I was literally just there like, I've got to bloody go on now and just be full of beans and just do it. And it was just like, I just ran out and just went like high energy. I was like, look, that minute silence reminded me of the time that I told my parents that I was going to start in stand-up comedy. So good to have those feelings back. Hip hip hooray for Charlie Boy, whatever it was. And then luckily managed to try and like steer the plane's nose back up.
So it went quite well, that little entrance that you did.
Oh, you have to address it because everybody also at the same time is going, we bought comedy tickets, mate. Like, fucking hell, what we doing?
Be funny, yeah.
But yeah, weird time because it's obviously like affected everybody and everyone's interacting with it in a different way. But yeah, I was watching it. I've literally just put a TikTok up about it as well. Do you know that I was saying about the two geezers that drove the Queen's hearse? That drove the Queen's hearse from Balmoral to Edinburgh. It was like, what, a 6.5 hour journey? And they didn't stop. And I'm just thinking, like, he must have needed a piss so bad. So I clipped up that Dumb and Dumber scene where he's like, I know it's not a good moment, but I gotta pee. Because that's all I was thinking of watching it.
Yeah.
So
I
could get pulled down on that now.
Since we started the podcast, there's been different like people, but if you look at like your own individual journey, like you hated TikTok and things like that, and now you started using it, and now your career could go in a different direction.
But I like doing it. It like broadens, like meeting people who like doing different things. Yeah. Like maybe it teaches me to get out of my own way and certain ideas and stuff like that. And you just like, actually,
I've got a friend. Friend of a friend is a comedian. Ben Hanlon, is it?
Yeah,
he's quite good on TikTok. He's
okay.
Does a lot of stuff.
I don't know him, but
there's a Scouse guy that I keep seeing at the moment.
Paul Smith.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bold guy.
No. Hot Water Comedy Club. It's always in the background. He's like an MC, and he's just basically built his entire like thing off clipping up. Like
it's perfect for like TikTok because you have a hook, don't you? You're waiting for the end of the video. So in terms of for clothing for us, TikTok is quite difficult because unless you're like holding some information back like you do as a comedian to the end, why do people carry on watching the video? So like, we do okay on there, but nowhere near as well as like I imagine your videos could perform on.
What we figured with Ollie is that like it's same as like video production. I don't see it's a different type of video production, but it's the creative part. Yeah. It's the like building a little concept or story. I can imagine there are things for clothing. Just thinking back, but like you really have to like sit down and fully think it out. And
it's not really funny or it doesn't bring a huge amount of value. Like,
and is it worth the time?
Yeah. So like, it's good. A lot of brands do really well, like Gymshark and people that are bringing some humour or entertainment to the.
All you need to do is get his bloody good-looking girls on stuff, and honestly, it's just rife on TikTok. I wish I was a good-looking girl. Wish I was a good-looking bloke, but I wish I was a good-looking girl, man.
Yeah,
just this is opportunity.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah,
like there's just videos of and it's not. This isn't the algorithm working me out.
I was going to say you say this a lot. And it's
no, but when I see it, I go off it because I like. If like there'll be
don't let it stick.
Don't let it stick. No, because I'm like I just don't want it to be swarmed with any like stuff like that. And I'm just that's the other bit that like I'm just like fucking you're not doing anything, man. You're just good looking. You didn't earn that. You didn't earn that. And then you're just going on there shaking that lovely arse, and I'm just sat there vaping in my front room like that's all right.
Fully judging.
Right. I'm so lonely. That's all right.
You've mentioned a couple of times now, obviously, been a Midlands clothing brand.
Yeah.
Gymshark is obviously, everyone knows Gymshark. How do you view Gymshark? Are they like
I really like them. Yeah.
company that you aspire to?
They're obviously very different in terms of like them being.
He's like avoiding. He's now like going racking his brain, going, all right, what constitutes slander and libel here?
I've got a lot of their clothes. I've got friends that work there. Like one of my best friends was one of the first people working for them, so I followed their journey quite a lot. They're really close to us and stuff. But in terms of like building a brand, they're probably one of the best, if not the best, in England.
I find it is, and there's always like bits where I'm like, fucking, it's nice, like how different brains work. Like, it's a comedy sense, like quite cynical and more. You're quite judgy. Like naturally, your brain's quite judgy and quite cynical. And I remember being at uni and like, and you'd go into like the uni gyms, and like everyone would be wearing the most like atrocious gear in there. Wouldn't they? And they'd have like ripped tops, and it would be like mismatching. And instead of him, he's obviously clear. Is it Ben or he's like clearly like looked at it and found a solution. Whereas my natural inkling is to take the piss, and all I wanted to do was like make videos of like taking the piss of like someone in like the worst vest in the world, like a headband on, and be like, and instead of I'm not saying that I would have created Gymshark, by the way, but I'm just saying like, no, it's just like, I was so blinded to the opportunity because my brain would work differently, and then just going, oh, actually, dude, like I viewed it that way, you viewed it as an opportunity, and it's just maybe I'm a piece of shit.
But it's quality because like the start of it, I've listened to a story quite a lot of times. It's still the bedroom. It's still university. It's like the same.
Similar to ours, but they just obviously skyrocketed. Really.
Do you think they all start? I just don't think it starts in any other way, does it? And like, as in it your first. I'm saying like you're like shipping out clothes to people and stuff like that. It starts from your bedroom. You have to start it from the house. It starts like so basic, and everyone sees it as this big, alluring journey or whatever it is, but like
it's like the iceberg, isn't it? That analogy of people only see the tip above the water, but like all the stuff below is like you have no idea.
Started with an airbrush in front of a mirror, trying to tell jokes to myself. Do you know what I mean? And I didn't even find the fun in myself. But yeah, like everything. You play guitar, like you want to be a musician. You start in your bedroom. You're a bedroom musician. You like want to do video recording. I don't know what you video record yourself doing.
No, they are the best start. Like it's just humble beginnings. It's the best story.
It's interesting. Like for brands and stuff, it was always like make yourself look as official as possible. Shiny, brilliant photo shoots and stuff, and then like it's slowly unraveling to being like the brands actually show more authentic stuff. Are actually being heroed even more now. So it suits us down to the ground because we are a small, quite transparent business that we can do it. But obviously, as you get bigger and bigger, like Gymshark, they do show a lot, but obviously there's a lot of stuff they can't show. There's pretty much nothing we won't show.
We actually find that as like video production, the videos that do best, I guess, online are the behind the scenes. People love to see the photo shoot. Obviously, is for the client, but they love to see like the shots behind the photo shoot, like between the lights and kind of like the camera, like snap, all that stuff. And we love actually shooting that because that's like just a different perspective altogether. But it is that kind of authenticity part to it that.
But people want to associate, because it did used to be like the fake it till you make it or whatever it is, and then definitely now. Like, because if I watch them, I'm like, I know that it isn't like that. So, like, why are you trying to make it out that it is like that? Like, show the actual journey behind it. And you might like it. You then associate with the person who's going through that as opposed to the other way. Clothes-wise, I got caught real young. All Saints, like, literally.
All Saints, that's the other one.
All I ever wear, like, I'm rocking an All Saints now. But I hate them and I love them. They've cost me a lot of money. Like generally, but I just bought into the brand when I was probably like 16, 17, 18. And then have just always just like
you'll see them reliable. So like you'll always go back. I've had that for 10 years. It still works. You keep going back, so you'd probably see them as they might be slightly expensive, but
you can trust them.
You rely on them. You trust on them, which is exactly what you want.
And that's what you don't get from like Boohoo or Shein and stuff like that.
If you pulled some of the gear out from there, it'll be like a nice like you buy it. Looks great on the bloody gorgeous looking model, and then you get it on, you literally look like frumpy as fuck.
Yeah,
You're
it's
just
like a tea towel as well.
What is going on here?
Have you watched the documentary on Misguided?
Yeah.
What do you think? I only saw a bit over my shoulder. It looked like carnage.
Yeah.
Over my missus' shoulder.
That is kind of how photo shoots are and stuff. It is like your house is burning down at all times, like trying to get things ready for launches and things don't turn up on time. And
yeah.
We've had so many things that I don't know, we do a photo shoot and then the card corrupts or the photographer's done all the shots and crop the model's head out. You just spent $2,000 on a model and he's cropped the head out. Like things like that happen all the time. You're like, they seem tiny, but the knock-on effects of the whole process.
You need new media, guys.
Well, yeah.
That's a plug. Yeah. I know that. I understand that.
It just drives you around the bend. But when you see Misguided, who are 50 million, whatever they are, they have the exact same problems we have at decimal points less than that. It's nuts, but
that's like on the hills when Lauren Conrad and Whitney go into the fashion houses and they're running round. Yeah. I love the hills, man.
It's a good show.
Yeah, mate, it is. I was like, whoa, is this what the fashion industry's like? It's like fucking 70 hours a week non-stop. Everyone's just like slating everyone. It just looks insane.
Yeah. Do you love it?
I do at times. At times I absolutely hate it.
Yeah.
If I'm honest. Yeah. Because for me, like e-commerce, you don't turn your website off. Like even if you're self-employed, you will eventually sometime put your phone down. You know you get emails coming through, but the website stops selling, say overnight for 6 hours. That revenue quite important to your cash flow for the next 2 or 3 weeks. Yeah. So someone is always having to be
on it.
You can never it's never off, even when it's off. So like when I went on my honeymoon the end of last year, it was the first time I think in 10 years where I've not thought about 3 or 4, because it was a 2-week holiday. By the second week, I was like, I actually felt like what I felt like pre 3 or 4. And I was like, wow, I forgot what that felt like. Yeah. To be worrying about it, because I realised it wasn't burning down.
To be you.
Everything was fine.
Yeah.
Well, you do get wrapped up in the wheels, don't you?
Yeah.
And then you do need to take like the step back and like just be like, well, I'm me, and then I interact with what I'm doing instead of it like consuming, and then you're just constantly being that person, and it's exhausting.
I think I've said a few times to people over the years as well. It's like when I'd see someone, a friend I've not seen like Christmas or something, I go, oh, "How are you? How's the business?" The second question is like, "How's the business?" Without really hearing.
Yeah, how are you?
How are you? Because I'm not like the ego. I'd have a chat about 3 or 4 isn't me. Yeah. Eventually, like I will do something that isn't 3 or 4. Maybe if that's the route I go down.
Yeah.
That question started to annoy me after like 6 or 7 years or something. Because I was like, I think people are more interested in the brand than they are me. Yeah. And like, the brand's not me, so I don't know.
Do you have that?
Interesting.
Do you have that?
No, not yet. Not at the moment. But yeah, I feel like the brand is my baby. Yeah. Where like you might find it as well when you have a new actual baby in the house. You're like, there's guilt everywhere because you feel like you're spending not enough time with your actual baby, but you're spending it on your other baby, and then vice versa. So I've actually found it to be quite a bit of a whirlwind of just like guilt. Yeah. For like who I'm giving my time, but I still feel like although we've been going, or I set up as a sole trader. It will be 10 years next year, but like it's been slow at the start, but like it's kind of on that upward trajectory. It feels like we're still at the start, very much so. There's so much more we can do. So I'm like every little hour I spend is a little building block to the next thing. So when I don't spend an hour on it and I spend it with my family, which is what like I should be doing at this moment in time, I'm still feeling a little bit like it's a lost hour there. Yeah. I was going to ask you how you're going to kind of tackle like, well, you work in an office. I work from home most of the time, so here's a baby, change a nappy whilst you're banging out like a really important proposal. It's fine, I can do it. Like this is what I want to be able to do. Yeah. But there comes like there's a line that you have
it's just
to
like
manage.
Like boundaries, isn't it? Like you've got to have really quite. I guess you've got to have. I'm saying it because I've got fuck all boundaries, but like you got to be quite like. And you've got to be so bullish with your time, I guess. Yeah. And not in a bad way. Like, literally be like, I haven't got time to do this now. I will do it when I get to it. And you've got to have that separation, right?
Yeah. I think I'm ready to make certain sacrifices to start the family life.
Yeah.
On a personal, I've to put so much into 3 or 4 for 10 years. I'm ready to, 3 or 4, certain duties I do at 3 or 4, I have to take a back step to invest in baby, family life. Yeah. I'm definitely willing to give that a go, whether that I get the guilt, like you said. He probably will, but
Yeah.
until I do it, I'm not too sure. But
What's the what's like the have your goals for it like adjusted over time? Like I guess when you first starting things, you're like, I want everyone in the street wearing like 304. I want everybody like to know what this is. But actually, just like readjusting and being like, do you know what? Actually, life's just pretty cool. Like if I get to make clothes, make a brand, work with my mates, make a decent enough living out of it, but maybe it doesn't need to be like this skyrocketing, all-encompassing thing.
100%. Now, the last conversation I had, someone said, "Oh, would you?" He owns his own brand, and he was like, "I want to get to 50 million turnover. I want to get to 100 million turnover." And I was like, You couldn't actually at this point pay me to do it because I know exactly how stressed I am at my level. To have that at that level, the sacrifices. I'm happy with where 304's at and where my life's going because I don't. You only need so much money.
Yeah.
Like the work balance I've got at the moment, pre-kid, is pretty good. I go to the gym, I go to football, I've got a good relationship with my wife and stuff, and my friends. Will the baby completely muddle it up? Probably, but then I'm looking forward to seeing where it all fits. Really.
Sorting that new dynamic out. It is true. There's a certain amount of money you can make that doesn't actually
80 grand. There's like studies.
Yeah, it doesn't improve your life thereafter.
No, I think it's a study. It's like 80 grand. I don't know how much you two are earning, but I'm off that. But 80 grand, like 80 grand is the threshold. Like all of your life improves up until that point. And then actually anything, it doesn't actually affect your happiness anymore.
Yeah, that's the same thing I've heard.
But like, I do think there's like, there's room and space for people who are that driven and that sacrificial to be able to go and do that if they want to go and do that.
Yeah,
but it's like, I think, like with that, like sometimes you like read stuff and then you get the guilt like, oh, should I be wanting to be like that? Should I be like doing this? When actually like, just creating a good, sound, solid, stable life for yourself.
Yeah.
And like working hard, but having a balance. Like I think there's a lot to be said because then you see people who do that, and then they're just like, yeah, I've given up everything. Yeah. Whereas, you don't want to be that person, right?
For like e-commerce business is specifically like comparisons horrendous.
Yeah.
So like I remember 2 years ago we had our best Black Fridays, obviously the period where you make most of your sales because it's Christmas sales and stuff. We had an unbelievable day. Like we were like all really happy. You log into LinkedIn, Twitter, and you see some other brands similar to yours, and they've just done 2x what you've done.
Yeah.
Instantly, nothing's affected your day to day whatsoever. Your business has still achieved what it's done. I went from being happy to being sad.
Someone stuck a pin in it. A LinkedIn post.
That can't be life, that you're always aspiring to be better than someone you don't even know or a brand that's completely different to yours.
Yeah.
Like
that's the same. That is like it is LinkedIn and it's like
it's all social media though, isn't it?
It's
you
everything.
could feel great about yourself and then you go on Instagram, you see someone who looks better than you and you're like, oh,
but I do it like bought a flat and then you see someone else has bought like a fucking 3-bed house and I want that. It's like, hold on boy, like you've done all right to get here. Like, just enjoy where you're at. This is your life. This is your circumstances. It's not. You don't know what theirs are. You don't know what's gone on. You don't know why they've got that. They've probably been, a little bit more secure in their jobs and probably stuck with them longer than I have, and that's the reason that they have. But I could tell you that off the bat. But but I know exactly why they're doing better than me. But yeah, and then you see like exactly like I've worked with brands and stuff like that before, and like maybe you've had like but then I also think that infects other people as well. So like I might have had a win, say if I was like working in sales or whatever, and I'm like, I've just booked in this meeting with this customer. Like honestly, I've been badgering them for fucking 3-4 months. No one's answered. Like that's a win for me.
Yeah.
Like to show that, and then someone else has posted on LinkedIn from another brand that have done exactly that, and then your manager will be like, yeah, but what about? And you're just like, mate, I've done that, like, and you've just completely invalidated the fact that I've tried really hard in my circumstances, because then that infects like other people. I think that's really dangerous, and then it massively undermotivates people because you're like, well, anything I do will never be good enough because you're always like managers or whatever are like assessing based on other people or the performance. You don't know what doors are open, you don't know who they know, any avenues, and you just get into this constant spiral of like feeling unfulfilled and stuff. So
sounds like you're pretty like, you sound, obviously I've not spoken to you in a long time, but like you're ready for your next step. Like you sound quite level with everything.
I think like I'm pretty happy with where 3 or 4's at. Like, if it grows, I don't know, 50% bigger, it's not gonna change my day-to-day life again. So like, it's like moving that needle slightly. It's not really gonna make a huge amount of difference. Like, we had a big uplift through COVID when the NHS thing came, and then we had all the new customers come through and stuff. Now the brand's at a level that the amount of effort and sort of restructuring to make a business go from small to medium to the next step. Yeah, I don't want to do it. So I've come to like terms with, this is where the business and the brand's at. Really, this is what I'm gonna. This is my life now as 304. So make the most of it and enjoy it as it is. Really, I
quite like the sentiment. As in, like I was saying, you always feel this guilt of like more and more and more. You've got to be like doing this, but actually, if you're waking up every day, enjoying your life, enjoying the balance, you're there and present with the people around you. Like, I think that's the real win, as opposed to someone who's got fucking 150 million in the bank but doesn't know his fucking head from his arse or whatever it is, because he's just consumed by everything.
We've seen. I was at Man City last weekend. I saw a couple of people wearing 3 or 4, and like, it's brilliant, and I still really enjoy it. But if you see 2 people wearing it or 3, it doesn't make it any more exciting, if you know what I mean. So like, even those sort of wins, it's like, where how many do I want the whole stadium to be wearing? It's not gonna happen. So like, just be happy with, I saw 2 people wearing it at Man City, buzzing, like, like, what's next?
It sounds like it's got similarities to what I think, like with someone saying something that I've created, and you seeing someone with like, it's not like the end goal, but it would just be a nice kind of like pat on the back almost, like you've done what you loved and someone else has appreciated it enough to buy it or say it, and then that's that. Like, there is no more what's next. It's just fulfillment.
I get that as well, because like, I remember in the midst of all that, like, working to like grow up and go through the ladder and get to the top and all of that sort of stuff, like, I remember, I'd sit and listen to bands. Like, I love my bands. And there's a band, Good Shoes. I remember listening to Good Shoes, and I used to write a load of tunes when we were younger. And like, they don't play anymore. They're not there. But I was like, how cool is it that like I'm sat in a car 10 years, 15 years later, and I'm singing along, and I know all the words to all of their songs. I've just created something. Maybe they've moved on and done something else or wherever.
Legacy.
But just like create, leaving the world with a little bit of something. They might, I don't know what they're doing now.
Mike Skinner.
Is that a tune?
The Streets.
Have I just quoted Mike Skinner?
No. Just saying, he's another one of those guys. He went like, he just stopped making music for ages, but like, he's childhood.
Yeah, it's just cool. You're just like, you've just made something that
I think legacy is a really important thing, actually, because like 304 Clothing or Unique Productions or your comedy, that could live a lot longer than you could. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool to think. Yeah, you're
true, man.
You're on TikTok now, so that's going to be around for a while.
Stuck forever.
Especially putting it on the internet now, like your comedy, no one's that's there for.
Yeah,
it's also dangerous, man.
Yeah, don't think about it too much, because it gets a bit like
don't, mate. Anxiety will go through the roof, mate.
But yeah, next steps for you then is like babying and see how that all fits into your life.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, we did a charity cycle for men's mental health about 3 months ago again, and like doing things like that like you said, was very rewarding. That we managed to like raise money, tie it into the brand that we were giving back. One of our friends committed suicide, who was a massive fan of 304. Doing things that like that kind of projects was, I felt like a lot from it. I felt rewarded from it, more so than just making a t-shirt.
It's that fulfillment.
Yeah, so we want to start doing a lot more things like that, really.
Connection and fulfillment.
There's no talk of money in any of it. You know, like whenever we talk to people, it's not like, I want to get out after I've made X, or I do it because there's so much money to be made. The whole kind of like concept of, it's called funny in the money because it's like a bit of a, like, money doesn't matter, gonna follow whatever it is, and it's always apparent when we speak to people, and you've not mentioned money once. It's like a lifestyle.
You've got like, I think especially when
that's what carries you through doing it in the hard times,
or anything like that. Like, you have to get used to the fact that actually, if you were looking for money, it isn't going to be coming in the first segments, and even along the way, you're gonna have to find. I was like, even brands that are X amount, so food and drink or whatever it is, like they keep going because they get investors in. Whereas I'm thinking they're 4 years down the line, fucking hell, they're like a profitable business that's like smashing it. when actually, like, no one is. Like, there's just either investors or someone working to fund it, or all of this, and you kind of taught this like illusion that, and you kind of buy into it a little bit, but actually, like, you're actually just getting up and doing it and finding a way of making it work because it's your outlet, and it's not because it's not about like unless people will like brag about kind of listings or this or that or whatever it is, but it's never like the opportunity of being like, look, I want to earn this. Apart from when you're in like a fucking full scale job, all you want is the money. I've got this job that's worth.
But then that is the thing that keeps you there because you don't love it. It's like a role reversal, like the thing that keeps you at the job that you do. But love chatting to you, Dave.
Thank you very much for having me.
Been very, very nice. Very good. Again, another different episode where we've learned a lot about the fashion industry.
Exactly.
Or e-commerce, as you keep calling it.
Cheers for coming in, dude.
Respect, Dave.
Thank you.
Well done, Els.
Cheers, brother.